Oh my goodness, folks, what's up? Guess who's back? This is Michael, of course, in the wee hours, on the graveyard shift, in the dead of night, where the coffee pot is always full with your daily trivia questions. Yet, once again, let me tell you, I was working this weekend, and I meant to post. I was over at Cary in the Cary community. Check this out. Hang on. Anyways, as I was saying, I was working all weekend. I meant to post on my YouTube channel with some really awesome trivia questions, but I got stuck with the task of training, folks. And let me just tell you what a torturous experience that was. A lot of times historically on third shift, and I've had to train hundreds of people on the graveyard shift at the wee hours in the dead of night for this kind of work, right? And some interesting characters have come my way, for sure, and this weekend was no exception. Needless to say, I did not get around to posting trivia on YouTube. My other platforms were active if you ever want to check those out, on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, Tumblr, all that good stuff. But I wasn't able to get on YouTube because I couldn't break away. I was training interesting person. That's all I'm going to say. So anywho, getting right to it, the answer to the previous trivia question, wasting no more time. The answer to the previous trivia question was the Treaty of Versailles in Paris. Now, this essentially, if you don't know your history, stamped out the peace terms between Germany and the victorious Allies, which was basically everyone else involved in World War II. And this pounded out the end, essentially, of World War I. I'm sorry, I think I said World War II just a second ago. I misspoke. Please forgive me. It held Germany responsible, the Treaty of Versailles did, for starting the war and imposed harsh penalties on the Germans, including loss of territory, massive reparation payments, and demilitarization. There are a lot of boxes to check off there, okay, when it came to this treaty and holding the Germans accountable. When you bottom line things overall, the Treaty of Versailles caused great economic stress and really humiliated Germany. I use that term humiliated on purpose. That's what it went down in history as. Germany looked at the whole thing overall as really a humiliating experience. Treaty of Versailles. Okay, now let's check out some of the terms of it. The Allies side of things involved what became known as the Big Four. This included the United States, Great Britain, France, and Italy. Remember, this is World War I now. Okay, now make no mistake about the fact that there were competing objectives among the Big Four when it came to the Treaty of Versailles. You better believe it. Politics, right? And to dealing with Germany overall. Some focused on the heavy reparation aspect of things. That was some people's main focus. Others wanted economic recovery for themselves. And yet others had an interest in rebuilding Germany into a possible strong global trading partner. So you already had some political ideologies that were beginning to surface very quick, as you can imagine, during this process. And that essentially equates, or would equate, and usually does equate when politics gets involved in this kind of thing, to a desire for power and control, even though it's referred to as a treaty, right? Go figure how that works. That's politics for you. That's war for you, right? Now, President Wilson, to speak to the American side of things in particular, brought what became known as his 14 points, which you may remember from your high school history class or from previous trivia questions. He brought that to the table, and what he proposed to the other allies as a solution of sorts for all. He saw this as the most ideal way to go about the Treaty of Versailles, dealing with Germany and in World War I. This did not go over very well, however, as the other ally nations considered Wilson's ideas and ideology naive, idealistic, and quite frankly, too difficult. Too many points, right? So his 14 points, he did not sell that very well, let me put it that way. So one key provision to the Treaty of Versailles required the demilitarization and occupation of the Rhineland. And I mention that specifically because that was rooted in the previous initial trivia question. The Rhineland, of course, being a loosely defined region on the Rhine River in Germany. And due to the seething, and I do mean seething resentment and humiliating aspects of the treaty within Germany, combined with the late 1930 rise of a man named Adolf Hitler, who you might have heard of, and the Nazi Party, German troops would eventually march into the Rhineland and other regions along the Rhine on March 7th, 1936. And that, of course, say it with me, was the focus of the trivia question. And by doing so, Hitler and his Nazi Party thereby blatantly violated the Treaty of Versailles. And this, of course, helped fuel the Nazi Party and the eventual overall onset of World War II. From the German side of things, if you recall also from your high school history class and historical facts in general, at the same time Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, which forced our participation in the United States into World War II. And then it was on from there, folks.